you would expect, this video contains Thor Ragnarok spoilers, so consider yourself warned. And with that out of the way, let's get down to business. And that's that as most people leave the theater after seeing Thor Ragnarok, the number one question on their minds, or at least it's pretty up there, is when are we going to see Hela again? That's right, Hela is hella popular. And I believe the answer to that question is probably pretty darn soon. Now, why do I have to qualify my answer? That's because Kevin Feige is a maverick who doesn't like being told what to do. And because he makes so much money for Disney, he doesn't have to do what he doesn't want to do. So he doesn't let the audience tell him what to do. He doesn't let talent tell him what to do. He doesn't let other studio executives tell him what to do. And he certainly doesn't let the source material tell him what to do. He's changed so much already, even some of it pretty darn popular. So why stop now? But then on the flip side, a lot of the groundwork has been laid for Hela to show up in Avengers Infinity War, both in the movies and even in the comics. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, I would like to say it would be quite a feather in the cap of Feige and company if Cate Blanchett is in Avengers Infinity War and they manage to keep it a secret. I mean, with such a large cast, maybe it's a little easier to hide a two-time Oscar winner in there. But also, since they so infamously shot a lot of green screen for Thor Ragnarok, one of the few weak points of the movie, the green screen's just so cheap and obvious. They could have easily tacked on a few extra scenes for Avengers Infinity War in there without taking up too much more of Cate Blanchett's time. Plus, Thanos and his entire Black Order are motion capture, so they would be coming to a studio anyway. Why not come to the same studio at the same time? All right, so let's start off with how things are set up in the MCU. So in Thor Ragnarok, who is it that reveals that the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's treasure room is a fake with a line that is both shocking and hilarious? And then, of course, whose brother probably steals the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, at the end of the movie? Haha! It would seem that even Thanos can't escape the all-too-common dude dilemma of having to deal with his girlfriend's crazy family. Whoa! What makes me think that Thanos and Hela are going to date? Well, that's where the comics come in. Because in the comics, Thanos kills and kills and kills, all to impress a chick, Mistress Death. But why create a Mistress Death in the MCU when you already have a divalicious goddess of death played by two-time Oscar winner Cate Blanchett? I mean, combining the two characters into one seems like an obvious move. And hey, comic book variations of Mickey and Mallory are all the rage right now. Plus, they've already hooked up in the comics. Now, of course, since Kevin Feige has infamously parted ways with the rest of Marvel to run his own ship, and again, Disney allowed him to do so, shockingly, maybe he wouldn't want to do that, right? He might be like, oh yeah, you guys want that to happen? I'm not going to do it. But then, of course, there's also the possibility that out of common courtesy, and because they are all part of the same company, that Kevin Feige would give a heads up to the comic book branch of Marvel and let them know story points that are coming down the pipeline. Because to be honest, no matter how they feel about each other politically, it would benefit all parties involved if story elements were reflected across the Marvel mediums. And also, maybe nobody told the comic book peeps this was going to happen, and they just think it's as obvious as the rest of us do. But again, Feige might not want to go that route then because he wouldn't want to reward them, and maybe he wouldn't want the comics to have any history of dictating what happens in the movies because he really wants to stay his own entity. It's funny when you think of Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy. They're both equally difficult and tough and rule with an iron fist, but hey, Kathleen, you see, if you don't fire people at the last minute or confront them super publicly, everyone forgets. Anyway, right now in the comics, what's happening between Hela and Thanos? Well, Hela has lost her kingdom of the dead, and so she decides to use her feminine wiles, or you know what, let's be positive, she actually likes Thanos. And she asks her new boyfriend to help her reclaim Hel. And as they work on that, he's been juicing her up by fueling her powers with mass genocide. Whoa, wait a minute, is that really gonna fit with the family-friendly MCU? I don't think so. I mean, forget death, there's hardly any death in the MCU. I mean, they had to have General Ross come in and make a PowerPoint presentation. And I have to say, a lot of those casualty numbers were surprisingly low anyway. But there's not even romance in the MCU, at least overtly. Oh, I couldn't help myself. Plus, the Russo brothers have recently revealed that an Avengers Infinity War will play like a heist movie, with Thanos and his elite Black Order going after the Infinity Stones, always one step ahead of our heroes. That sounds pretty exciting and fast-paced, but I don't know how Hela would fit into that storyline. So here's what I'm thinking. Hela referred to herself as the goddess of death in Thor Ragnarok. Maybe that was just trash talk as an elite deadly warrior, and she didn't mean literally. After all, did you see her doing a lot of goddess of death type stuff in the movie? No. But then, because she is a survivor after Thor Ragnarok, she realizes that becoming the literal goddess of death, I mean, maybe she's like, I'm already halfway there, maybe I should just embrace it, right? And reigning over hell is not only her best, but perhaps her only option. And I see that going down one of two ways. The first is that she really is killed by Surtur at the end of the film and decides to make deadly lemonade out of dead lemons. But then the other option is that cast out once more, and with no Asgard that she's aware of to draw her powers from, she decides to make a deal with Thanos, and perhaps with the help of Loki behind Thor's back. Don't forget, he has the Space Stone to barter with. So they do that in exchange for powers from Thanos for Hela. Maybe the Soul Stone when he's done with it, right? And when they meet, Hela and Thanos realize that there's a spark. These two crazy kids have a lot in common, and they start a healthier, more family-friendly relationship. So yeah, Thanos doesn't need Hela. I mean, just because she knows the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's treasure room is a fake doesn't mean she has to have anything to do with it going forward. I mean, it was already established in the end credits of Age of Ultron that Thanos has the real Infinity Gauntlet. Either he was stealing it then and swapping it out with a fake, or that was his own closet and he was just trying it on. He just needs the bling to go along with it. And Loki could, of course, always broker a deal on his own. He's already cornered at the end of Thor Ragnarok by what appears to be Thanos or a Thanos-related ship. Or maybe it's Guardians of the Galaxy, who knows? We'll see. It depends on the direction, of course, that Kevin Feige wants to go in again. And if he wants to be told what to do. But everything, I mean, honestly, all pettiness aside, all creative pettiness aside, everything is in place for Thanos and Hela to meet. And considering that his love of death is one of, if not his most defining trait as a character, although tell that to Hank Pym, right? And then that Cate Blanchett's Hela is already such a hit, with her seemingly not just collecting a paycheck, but genuinely excited to be a part of the MCU, why not go there? What do you want to see happen in Avengers Infinity War? Do you want Hela to make an appearance, perhaps more than an appearance? And what qualities would you like to see in their relationship? Would you feel bad if Disney Marvel decided to make it a little more family friendly? It is weird that there's no romance in the MCU. So odd. There's not a lot of romance actually in Marvel Comics, come to think of it. That's really always been a DC thing. Although I have to say, maybe some of you will feel that with all the problems that Thanos has, he don't need a bitch to be one. All right, that's my thoughts on Hela's future in the MCU and Avengers Infinity War. I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you can check out some more videos right now.